Preloaders, welcome, welcome, welcome. Non-preloaders, please stand by. I have to address my preloaders first. Welcome back, guys. Always nice to have you guys here with me. All right. And as always, very proud of you guys for setting the example of how important it is to not only know how to ride this motorcycle, but be dedicated to being proficient in slow speed motorcycle operation. Because again, that's really what's going to dictate if you really know how to ride this motorcycle. Okay. All right. So for you non-preloaders, welcome to the channel as well. My name's Robert. I'm a retired NYPD Motorcycle Highway Patrol Lieutenant. I did a wonderful 22-year career with the NYPD. 15 of those years were spent with the motorcycle unit. The name of this channel is called Robert Simmons Paying It Forward. And the purpose of this channel is twofold. The first half is me sharing my knowledge, experience, and training that I received from the NYPD Highway Patrol Motorcycle Unit with you guys, with a special focus on slow speed motorcycle operation, because that's the aspect of operating a motorcycle, in my opinion, that's the most important, because that skill, 100% of your skill is needed to keep this motorcycle upright 15 miles per hour or less, in control with your feet up. Okay, remember at speed, the motorcycle needs very little input from you. All right, so that's why I focus on that on this channel. And that's what us preloaders focus on. Secondly, I want to help you be the boss of your motorcycle. That's what I want to help you do. And all that means is I want you to be 100% confident, or at least close to 100%, when it comes to operating this machine at slow speeds. I want you to not even think twice about making a right turn or a left turn or a U-turn, okay, with confidence. And I want to be clear, yes, I was a motor lieutenant. However, the goal of this channel is not to get you to ride like a motor officer, okay? The goal is just to raise your confidence level, because once your confidence level is up, everything else will follow, okay? You can watch all of my other videos, and we're going to talk about that more in depth, okay? However, in this video today, that's not what we're going to be talking about. What we are going to be talking about is part 2. This is part 2 of my custom dynamics upgrades on my 2019 Road King Special, aka my practice bike. All right. As I like to always tell you guys, I know there's anything you could be doing with your time, and the fact that you choose to spend a little bit of it with me, I appreciate you. All right. I also appreciate you guys that subscribe. All right. I think we're at 25,000. You guys know I don't really pay attention to that. And I never got into this for any of that. My goal, and that's always going to be my goal, is to take care of you guys. If I have some information to pass on to you, I'm going to pass it on to you. And like I said, whether it's about riding this motorcycle, or if it's about product reviews, or if it's about anything, it could be about my grass or my cars. If I think it's something that you guys can benefit from knowing, I'm going to share it with you. Okay? All right. But I do want to thank you guys that have subscribed. For those of you that have not subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. All right? If you like this video, hit the like and share. And if you want to be notified of future videos that I put out, hit that notification bell and switch it to all. I also want to take this time to thank my subscribers that have donated to the channel to help support it. All right. Very important. I appreciate you guys. I also want to thank you guys that send emails and messages on Facebook and Instagram. And, all of that stuff is appreciated. And you guys know, as of now, anything I get, I respond to, if it's worth responding to. And by that, I mean, clearly, if it's something negative, I'm not going to get a response from me. This channel is all about positivity and support. This is Preloaded Nation. We're a family. We take care of each other. You guys take care of me a lot, so I'm always going to take care of you. All right, so speaking of my preloaders, as I always say to you guys, I love the fact that you're out there practicing and it's on your mind all the time. If you're just out going for a ride, you're practicing. You hear me in your head saying preload, keep it loaded, throttle, clutch, rear brake, head and eyes, and trust and believe. That's what this shirt says, okay? So as much as I love knowing that you guys are out there practicing, I love it even more when I can see it. Check out this preloader. This is Jim Viviani from Winter Garden, Florida. Jim's running a 2018 Road King Standard. He said he rode dirt bikes as a kid, teen, and adult, but started on a heavy street bike in 2018. He got into slow speed skills mainly for safety reasons for himself as well as his passengers, that being his wife and his daughters. But he loved it so much that he just kept practicing and setting goals to reach. He says, when I reach them, I set new ones. He practices about 4 to 5 days a week, now between a half an hour to an hour after work, and never passes up an empty parking lot without doing a few U-turns. On a scale of 1 to 10, Jim rates himself at a 7.5 to an 8. His current goal is to place in the top 3 in a competition in the expert division. But I still have a lot of work to do, he says. So basically, he's an example of what anyone can do in a short period of time if they practice regularly. So what he says is, preload, head and eyes, rear brake, and don't be afraid to lean. Excellent, excellent, Jim. Thanks for those words. Thanks for being a preloader. And man, you look good out there. It's not a surprise that you practice as much as you do. All right, so good stuff. I love it when you guys send me videos so I can share it with the rest of the Preloader Nation, okay? And that's important to me. I want us all to see each other practicing. And I know you guys can see the people that come out and practice with me, of course, because I put it on the video, but everybody can't make it to me. So yeah, if you're out there practicing, please, by all means, feel free to send me a video of you practicing, okay? And, you know, if the quality of the video is good, you know, and even if it's not, you know, there's a good chance it's going to make it on one of my videos, okay? All right, guys. And as I always say, how disciplined of a preloader are you? Also feel free to send me a video of you doing 10 push-ups next to your motorcycle if you grab your front brake out of bad habit, okay? All right, guys, remember, that's all done out of fun. And remember, it has nothing to do with the push-ups. It's about what the push-ups represent, okay? All right, guys, so let's get into it. The meat and potatoes of what this video is about. My 2019 Road King and the custom dynamics lights that I'm going to be installing. So if you guys are not aware, this is going to be a 5-part series, okay? Now, the first video I made, I installed front signal lights. I installed rear signal lights. I installed the tri-bar light that's on the lower rear fender. And I also installed the magic strobe, okay? I'll link that video right here if you want to take a look at that. And that video is good because not only do I install the magic strobe, but I also take you through all 10 options that you have on the magic strobe, okay? And you can see which option I chose and why I chose it, all right? So check out that video. It's good stuff. Those were all easy, all right? Now, usually custom dynamic stuff is pretty easy because you don't have to worry about splicing wires. Everything is plug and play. However, today's install, still no splicing wires. Everything's plug and play, but the degree of difficulty is going to go up a little bit more, okay? So for today's video, I'm going to be installing the latch lights. So I'm going to be replacing that reflector right there. I'm also going to be installing the lid lights, the bag lights that go on the back, thin profile lights, okay? And lastly, I'm going to be installing the rear fascia lights, okay? So we're getting some good stuff in there today. Now the lights that are going to be the most labor intensive are going to be the latch lights, and that's because I'm going to have to drill a hole in the side of the bag. And, you know, it sounds like a big deal. It really isn't, okay? So first thing I want to do is I want to take you guys through the unboxing. Well, it's not really in the box anymore, but the unpackaging. And we'll go through what we're actually going to be putting on this motorcycle today. And then we'll also go through an install. I'll show you as much of that as possible or as much that makes sense. And lastly, of course, I'm going to give you my opinion on the installation, the difficulty, how long it took me to do it, and whether I recommend it, okay? Now, I can already tell you before I even put the lights on, yes, I'm going to recommend these latch lights because I already have them on my CVO, okay? And if you want to see that video, here's the link for that. And again, guys, if you're watching this on a smart TV, And when I go like this, you're not going to see anything. But if you're on a computer or an iPad or a smartphone, you'll see the link. Okay. Anyway, I have the latch lights on my CVO, my Street Glide. I also have the lit lights. All right. So I'm going to recommend those before you guys even see them because they're phenomenal. They look great. But not only that, you guys know I'm all about the safety and the practicality. You know, your motorcycles it doesn't have any lights on the side. So if you can replace that reflector with a light, oh, that's great. Plus it looks good, all right? But we're gonna talk about that when we get to it, okay? So, all right, let's get to the unpackaging. All right, guys, so here are the 3 products. Now I also have some extra wires. I think it's some kind of extension kit. I may need it for this installation, I'm not sure, so we'll figure it out. So as I stated before, we have the LED fascia lights. We have the low profile LED bag lights. And lastly, we have the latch lights. So because I know, I'm not going to say I think, because I know this is going to be the most labor intensive hookup or installation, let's open this one first. And as I stated in my first video, notice there's only 2 staples holding this package open. I don't need a razor blade. My hands are not bleeding to open it. So I appreciate that. So in here we have, move these out of the way. We have instructions. We have alcohol pads to clean the area because these things are going to be attached via double-sided tape. And these are used, this is double-sided tape on this side, and then the other side, which is the black side, the green side is the double-sided tape, and the black side is used to put the wire. So this is going to help you run your wire. And you can see they also have zip ties in here, little mini zip ties, so you can clean stuff up nicely. And last but not least, here are wiring harnesses, okay, to connect these lights. And now some more wires to connect. And lastly, the actual latch lights. Okay, they're covered with protective plastic. And look at those little wires. Wow, that looks intimidating, right? Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much. And then we have the other one. So right side and left side, it's only going to fit one way, so you're not going to have to worry about which side goes on what side. All right. And as I always say about the instructions, they're always very well laid out, numbered. This is 1 through 11. Usually they have color pictures. This one does not have color pictures. Package contents. All right, so there's a whole lot of stuff we got to go through on this. This is what I mean when I say this one's going to be the most labor intensive. So if you watch the first video, the instructions were like front and back, like 2 sides. This is 1, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a package content, so I'm not going to count that. So we got 4 pages of instructions on this. So, okay, we're going to do this one first. Let's move this stuff to the side because I actually want to go over the contents of each one first. Next, we'll move on to the low profile bag lights. See, everything opens up nice and easy. Oh. Whoa, look at that. So when I first looked at this, because this almost looks like the Magic Strobe, the Magic Strobe is actually bigger than this. Okay, so there's more going on with this as far as wires and stuff. But again, I'm pretty sure it's all plug and play. So that's another wiring harness. Female and the male side. Another bag, double-sided tape, the green on one side and then the black on the other, which is where the wires are going to go. And this is how you're going to run your wires. Alcohol pad, instructions, and then of course the actual lights. And these things, they're made to fit perfectly on the back of the saddlebag, and double-sided tape on this side. Let's put it right on. Good to go. But that's why you have the alcohol pad, wipe it down first. One side and the other. Again, you're not going to get them confused. It's only going to fit one way. It's only going to fit one way properly, I should say. Okay, so this actually, hold on, what is this? because these are the instructions. I see another piece of paper. I want to see what this is. Okay, all right. So this is I guess this is a it's a portion of the instructions if you have the magic strobe on the motorcycle already, which we do. Again, I'm assuming that. I'll find that out. Strobe modification. So yeah, that must be what this is. We'll get into that. And last, we have the fascia panels. Again, nice and easy to open. I so appreciate that. Alcohol pads. This one we have 2. More wiring connectors, adapters, I should say, to attach the wires to the motorcycle. These are actually a little bigger than the first ones. Actually, they're a lot bigger. You can see on this, these are more flat, where these are more raised. Again, a male and a female and a male connector, and some other wires. We'll figure out what all that's about. Instructions and the actual fascia light that doesn't want to come out. There you go. All right, and you see I have it blacked out. Everything's blacked out. The slim profile lights are blacked out. If you saw the first video, you saw that the turn signals that I put on are blacked out. The tri light in the bottom of the fin is blacked out, and these are blacked out as well. So that's going to look nice. And then you have your double-sided tape on this side. All right, guys. So those are the contents. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first step it says is to find the wire that's going to the back lights. This is the wire right here. And you're going to take this harness. Remember, there's a female and a male side. First thing it says to do is to disconnect the negative terminal on the battery, which of course I'm not doing. I'm not advising you guys not to do it. Follow the instructions. And basically we're just going to, it can only go in one way. So, okay, there's the click there. And the click there. That's step 1. Okay, the next step is to remove the check strap from the saddlebag lid. Make sure you hold on to the bag so it doesn't bang into anything. And it says that the bag has to remain open during this process. All right, so the next step says remove the hinge cover from the hinge and locking mechanism. They don't have a picture for that. I don't know what that is, but if I use some common sense standards, that's a hinge, so this must be the cover. And there's the locking mechanism. So I'm assuming it's these 3 screws. Now this takes a 1025, a T25 bit. Now if you guys watched the first video, you'll know the significance of a T25. Now I wish that it did tell me to remove the hinge, how many screws you have to take off, because I just took 3 screws off of this. And nothing's coming off, so actually that's not true. This came off. And this is actually the piece I need to work with, so let's see if that was correct. I'm assuming it was because, as you can see, those are the 3 screws that I removed. So that's what was holding this on. Let's go to the next step. Okay, so that you guys can see it. This is the template. This is the drill template. Okay, and it's clear. So that's why I didn't put it on the table. And this is the back of the hinge cover. And I want you to take the template and put it right there. And then where the circle is in the template, they want you to mark it because we're going to be drilling a hole. So I'm going to take the template off of there. That's going to be where I'm going to be drilling a 1/4 inch hole. All right, guys, so I always have one of these because I always want to be sure that I'm using the right dimensions. You can barely see the numbers on here, but if I put it closer, you can see. Okay, and we need a 1/4 inch. There it is right there. So there's the bit, and all I do, make sure it fits, and just to make sure that's the right one, I always go above it, which is 15 64ths, and it doesn't fit in there, so that's a 1/4 inch. Order the entire drill. Now it says you don't drill through the reflector. Just drill through the hinge cover. All right, so we don't want to go through the reflector. I don't know what the big deal is about going through the reflector. We're taking it off anyway. And after that, it's garbage. Nobody's going to use that again. Okay, guys, just to give you an update. So the instructions say to use a 1/4 inch, to drill a 1/4 inch hole. And then once you actually remove the reflector, then it says drill a 3/8 inch hole. So it wants you to drill a bigger hole after you drill the first hole. I don't know why you can't just drill the bigger hole the first time if you're going to make it larger. I'm sure there's a reason. Clearly, I don't have the right bit to get through this in that size. So this bit I'm using right now is 5/16. You know, when you have the right drill bit, see all the shards of metal? Because it's actually working. Oh. Well, it said be careful and don't break the reflector. The reflector's broken. But I think we're going to be all right. All right, so many of you know that from time to time we're going to have to MacGyver stuff. It does say carefully drill through this to not break the reflector, but I mean, you have to be really careful not to break that, not to go through there with a drill. So we just have to MacGyver it. Then it says take a small screwdriver and push the reflector out from the backside. So clearly I can't do that because I broke that part. So now I'm going to have to just try to pry it out. And you know what? I'm going to get a stronger screwdriver because this one's kind of bending. And even doing this, it's breaking, so. Yeah, let me get a stronger screwdriver. This is a finesse screwdriver. Now, I did read where some people actually use a, now wait a minute. Am I supposed, oh, okay. I'm supposed to be taking the black part off. I'm thinking I'm taking just the reflector off, but I'm taking this whole piece off. Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. So I actually have to get under here. So what I started to say is I know that some people said something about using like a heat gun to take care of some of the adhesion. You can see that's coming up. Yeah, and while I'm doing this, of course, you see I'm kind of scratching up the paint, so you want to make sure you don't do that. Be careful with that. Get the screwdriver a little deeper in there. Again, this is a practice bike, so. Okay. So we got that off. And then you just got some sticky stuff here. So I'll get this off. I'll peel off as much as I can, and then use some goof off or Goo Gone, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, guys, so it's off, it's cleaned. I didn't put the alcohol pad on it yet, but I'm going to tell you right now, that's time consuming. Just getting that. Now, I have seen some people get lucky and they peel that off and stuff just came right up. But so I used goof off. I used Goo Gone. And that's just one. I still have to do the other one. All right, guys. So then the next step, it says to, as I said earlier, to make this hole 3/8 inches, which I did. So now we can move to the next step. Okay, then it says to route the wire through the hole that we drilled. And it says to remove double-sided tape. Now we've already I've already cleaned it with the alcohol pad and let it dry. I'm going to line that up. All right, so now it says to reinstall this on the side of the motorcycle. So I've already put it back where it's supposed to go. The screws are on this side. This is why you want to use magnetic bits. Put the one in the middle first. Okay. Remember, the support system that holds this door up, we took that off. So I'm just holding it to make sure it doesn't just fling down. Okay. All right, guys, so fast forward. It tells you to put this foam piece right here at the lip. I think I put it in the right place. Yeah. And that's basically so that when this wire goes across, it doesn't get pinched by this, because this is a little, not really sharp, but it's definitely sharper than what this is. And then you put these pieces in the saddlebag, double-sided tape. Of course, use alcohol wipes first to clean it. I put 4 in the bag, there's 1 here. And I thought initially that the wire went through this tab, but actually the zip ties that come with it, they go through the tab, and then you just connect the wire to it. Anyway, I put 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. And then I also put some black electrical tape just to make sure there's no slack. You know, so when you're putting stuff in and out of your saddlebag, you don't want anything catching the wire, so you want the wire to stay attached to the corner of the bag. Then comes the part that I've heard so much controversy about, that 9/16 drill bit, because it's like you're not going to find it in any drill bit set. It's definitely not in mine. So really not a big deal. I heard people on the internet searching long and hard to find this drill bit. Listen, all I did was I used a 1/2 inch drill bit. The difference between a 1/2 inch drill bit and 9/16 is like 0.562, something like that. The point is, all I had to do is drill. It says start with a smaller drill first. It tells you where to drill the hole, about 1 inch below these screws, and you drill from the back of the bag into the bag. And all I did was drill, like I said, a 1/2 inch drill bit. I started with a smaller one first and then went to a 1/2 inch one. And then all you have to do at that point is just rim it with that drill bit. Rim it, right? And then once you rim it, this is one of the grommets. You have to put this grommet in that hole. Okay, I used a screwdriver to assist me, a flathead screwdriver. And that's basically to ensure that it's waterproofed. And then the next thing I did was the hole that's in that grommet, you have to fit these these wires through it. So what I did first was I used this drill bit and made that hole just a little bit wider, right? Next thing I did was, see there's 3 here? All 3 of these, I'm still not sure what these are, so I don't want to damage them. All 3 of these are not going to fit through that hole at the same time. You see you have a little bit of slack here. You know, if you really wanted to, you can cut this jacket back a little bit and give yourself more slack. But I put these through one at a time through the hole. Because once they get through the jacket for all 3 of these, that's the thick part of the screw. So even with the fact that I drilled a little bit, I made it a little bit wider, as far as I'm concerned, that had to be done to make this easier. And it's still not really easy getting it in, so I'm sure it's a good seal. And I'll show you the other side. Okay, so that's done. Now I'll move on to the next step. All right, guys, so I got those latch lights installed. I got them on the motorcycle. Let's take a look. And listen, you guys know that these lights, in my opinion, are some of the most important lights that you're going to put on your motorcycle. Yes, they look cool, but they definitely take care of a safety issue. All right. These motorcycles don't have any lights on the sides. They just have reflectors. And this takes the place of the reflector. And the other good thing is it's not just a running light. If I put the signal light on, you got a signal light too. So now, again, if there's a car driving next to you on the highway, it's nighttime, you have your signal light on, you're about to make a turn. So because you're not all the way in front of the car, he can't see your rear signal light. He'll definitely see that light because it's bright too. And, you know, if you just want to get somebody's attention, the magic strobe is attached to it too. So now you got your strobe for your brake light on the side as well. I mean, that's great. I mean, right? That's great. And of course, it's the same on the other side. But guys, listen. But guys, I have to share something with you. You guys know I'm always going to be 100% honest with you. Very little editing, especially if I think it's going to be beneficial to you. So remember in the beginning when I said that the most difficult lights to install out of all of these were going to be the latch lights? All right, so that was, I ran into complications with that. All right, and let me talk to you about something. Okay, so this is important, guys, because as I'm reading the instructions and I'm trying to install this, I run into the problem with this wire. So here's one of the latch lights, okay? And here's the wire coming from the latch light. Okay, these wires are going to be the wires that you have to attach to a quick disconnect. And that's what this is. So I'm going to get closer to the camera so you can actually see what I'm talking about. So these are 3 wires. And of course you can see that this is the light that would go on the left side of the motorcycle. And you know that because of the purple wire. Now, those wires have to be installed into this piece, right? And you have to push it in all the way so that you can see it come out on this side, right? You should see the tip of it. It should be silver. Now, the instructions don't tell you that you have to put this in a specific way. Like you can't just do it any old way. It's got to go in a specific way. And the way these wires are, if I could just show you one of them, and I apologize, the camera's not really focused on it, but there's a high side to this and a low side, okay? Meaning this is almost like let's just say this is like the letter P, okay? And the letter P goes like this and then it loops around like this. So that's the way you have to push that into this. So yeah, the instructions really weren't clear, and that's like one of the most important parts of installing these lights, because if you don't get these things inserted into this part correctly, so that now when you take this disconnect and connect it to the other wire, it has to connect all three of those wires. And if it doesn't, either the running light's not going to work, or the brake light's not going to work, or the signal light's not going to work. Or if none of them are in, none of them are going to work. All right. And these are some of the problems I was running into. I'm trying to figure out why the lights are not coming on. I'm playing around with all of the wires and the harnesses. And really the only issue was these weren't all the way in, and you should hear it click. Okay. But it has to be in a specific way. All right. I wanted to share that with you. But here's what's most important that I wanted to share with you guys. So you ever been in a relationship, or you heard somebody say that, oh man, their relationship is perfect. They've never had an argument with their significant other. So when I hear that, the first thing I think of is, well, then you still don't really know who you're dealing with when the chips are down in rough and hard times, right? Because, that's really going to determine what kind of person a person is when things are not going smoothly, right? Okay, that's relevant too when you're dealing with a product and a business. So things didn't go smoothly for me with this installation. So that's when customer service really comes in handy. Usually when you're dealing with a product, the only way you know whether a place has really good customer service is when something's not going right, right? How do they handle that? Okay, so do I love Custom Dynamics lights? Absolutely, they're great, right? But how's the customer service? And guys, I'm happy to report to you that it's just phenomenal, phenomenal. Let me take you through this. So they actually have people on staff, and their job is just to field phone calls for tech support, right? So what I did was I called up Erin. Erin works at Custom Dynamics, and she always helps me out. If there's any problems with anything, as far as if the problem is the actual product, no problem. They'll send you another product. And like I said before, it always gets to me within 1 or 2 days, within 2 days, I should say. If it's not the product and it's just something that needs to be handled, that's when one of these guys come in that will help you out. So I actually had a guy on the phone, and the beauty of it is he had an iPhone, not an iPhoney. So he was able to FaceTime me, and instead of me just trying to explain to him what's going on, he was actually able to see it, right? So once I hooked up all of the lights and I saw some things were working, some things are, some things not. The harness, the bag lights on the saddlebag weren't the brake lights weren't working. They worked all of that out for me, right? And let me tell you something, guys. That's just awesome. I mean, how often are you going to get somebody to be on the phone with you to actually walk you through something, FaceTime you? And it wasn't like it was any urgency for him to like get off the phone and get to the next person. He was patient, and that was just great. And at the end of the day, what we want is whatever the problem we had to be solved. And that happened. The problem was solved. And I'm sure he was happy about it too. You want to see the customer happy, and of course the customer wants to be happy. So I'm happy to report to you guys that everything's not going to always go smooth in anything. Nothing's perfect. And sometimes I don't mind issues when they arise, because like I always say, when you run into problems and you find out a way to get through them, bam, you take that, you put it in your back pocket, and now that stays with you. That's knowledge. You learn from that, right? But in this case, being able to know that I can buy this product, and if everything doesn't go as planned, they're going to take care of me, and it's all going to work out. So again, big up to Custom Dynamics. I love the way the lights look, but more importantly, I love the way they treat you. All right. That's how you keep a customer for life. So when it was first brought to my attention that the rear fascia lights and the low profile lights were sequential, yes, but dual intensity, meaning that when you put the signal light on, it's amber instead of red. At first I thought, I'm not going to like that. I want everything in the back of the motorcycle to be red because everything is red. Then I thought about that. Most of my cars, the signal lights are amber. Check it out. Right? Right? The truck. Right? So the way I look at that, it's actually Not a big deal. And here's why it's not a big deal. Everything in the back of the motorcycle is red when you don't have the signal lights on. When you put the signal lights on, that's when you see the amber. And anything that's going to catch somebody's eye more, I'm all for that, especially on a motorcycle. So, with that being said, I have no issue with the amber light because it stands out more. Sometimes people might get lost in the red, especially we got magic strobes and everything, although it's not going to strobe when you're signaling anyway, okay? But that answers the question. If anybody else was thinking the same thing I was thinking, I want everything to stay red, not a big deal. And in my opinion, much safer. All right, guys, so now that we're done with the latch lights, we're going to move on to these low profile bag lights. All right, it's going to be a lot more easy than the latch lights. Like I say, most if not all of Custom Dynamics lights are easy to install, but they have different degrees of difficulty. Okay, so yes, once this is all done, it's easy. This one could be more intimidating for people because you have to, you know, cut holes in the saddlebag and stuff, but not a big deal. This is basically going to be, I've already prepped this area by using the alcohol swabs that are included with the lights to just clean that area off. Just like all of the lights, the first step says to disconnect the negative wire from your battery, safety first. And then you're going to attach the lights to the saddlebags. So let's do that. Okay, so like I said, here's the lights, nice low profile. And it's important to know that if you see a purple wire, that's for the left side of the motorcycle. If you see a brown wire, that's for the right side of the motorcycle. And you'll know because, well, the light, like I just said, purple is for left. And also the wire is going to go to the inside of the saddlebag because you're going to run that wire on the back side of your saddlebag, or to the back of your seat. Okay, so what you want to do first is make sure that your saddlebag is locked, because when it's unlocked, then it's kind of up a little bit on the right side, and you don't want that. And then you put this on and it's crooked. So make sure it's locked. You know, kind of dry fit where you want it to be. And it tells you to use a grease pencil to mark the spot. I'm going to eyeball it. Matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? I don't know what the hell a grease pencil is, but I'm going to jack this up so that the motorcycle is more at my eye level. I always keep it on a jack so the motorcycle is level. Okay. And then I lower it down to the safety spot. I might put it higher than this. Yeah, I want it higher. I want it to be like at my eye level as I'm seated. I'm gonna put it all the way up. Okay. All right, that's on the safeties. Ah, yeah, much better. Matter of fact, lower the seat. Ah, even better. Perfect. Okay. So, purple wire, check. Try it one more time before I remove the double-sided tape to see where I want it. I like it. Okay. So now I'm going to remove the double-sided tape. The tape strips. And as you can see, 2 red strips right in the middle. So there's no tape running around the edges. It's right in the middle. Like any 3M or double-sided tape, I'm going to hold that for like 60 seconds. Make sure I have a good connection. Okay, that should be good. Now we'll move on to the right side. And as I stated before, the right side is going to be a brown wire. When I say a brown wire, obviously there's other wires as well, but the other wires are going to be the same color on the other side. You're going to have a red, you're going to have a yellow, you're going to have a black on both sides. The only thing that's going to be different is the purple wire for the left and the brown wire for the right. And I don't put it so that the light is touching the lid of the saddlebag. I put it right under it. All right. I think it looks pretty cool already, even, you know what I mean? No lights are on or anything, but now the rest of this is going to be easy. All I'm going to have to do is take this wire. Well, first I'm going to have to take the bags off and run the wire. It comes with the same kind of cable tie downs that we put on the inside of the bag for the latch lights. And of course it comes with little zip ties. And it's going to be attached on the inside, the back side of this bag. And you're just going to, it's only going to be like 3 of them used. And run that wire to where the rest of the wires are under the seat. And then we'll tackle that. And it also gives you a diagram telling you the order in which to connect the wires. And the good thing is, it also tells you what to do if you have a magic strobe, which we have here. All right, so let me take this bag off. Now, here's another thing I'll say. So Harley Davidson installed these lights for me on my Street Glide CVO. And, you know, I just realized that they put the disconnect wire under the seat. So what's the purpose of having a disconnect wire if every time I want to take my saddlebag off, I have to take the seat off, right? So good thing I'm doing this one myself, so I can do what makes the most sense, which is make sure that this disconnect wire is accessible without having to take off the seat. Okay, so quick disconnect for that is taken off. We all know how to take off the saddlebags. Nice and easy. I tell you, if you guys don't have a motorcycle jack, definitely a good investment to get because it makes things a lot easier. Okay, so let me close this. Now also be mindful, I was doing this on my CVO. I kept forgetting that there was a light back there, so when I would grab the saddlebag or touch anything, I was grabbing right here. We're only dealing with double-sided tape. Okay, so again, that's what the wire looks like coming out for the latch light. That's the quick disconnect. And then this is the wires coming from this light. So we'll put this over here. And as I stated, once the saddlebag is disconnected, just lock the lid and then it's a lot easier. Grab the bag from the bottom. Don't grab the top if you're going to hit this light. All right, guys, so you can read this with me. It says the order of installation will be the bike's BCM main wiring harness, then the BCM adapter harness, then the brake strobe module, if installed, which we do have, and then the bike's rear lighting harness, right? So if you're like me, you're like, how am I supposed to know which of those is which? BCM, the main wiring harness versus the brake one. So here's what we got. What I did was saddlebags off. So I found a wire right here. And that wire is going around here and it's going to the back brake light. So I know that's the wire. So all I do is give it a tug. And I see this wire moving. So I know that this is the wiring harness for the brake light in the back, which leads me to believe that this one is the main one. Okay? Just in case you guys wanted to know that. I'm still guessing on this one, but I'm pretty sure that's correct because everything's working like it's supposed to. All right, so I'm sure if you guys haven't noticed by now, I kind of take you through this as I'm doing it. You know, I don't do a lot of prep work. I don't read a lot of stuff first. I do read some stuff first, but some of the stuff I want to take you through it so you get the real, you know, the real experience. So what I was just talking about with the quick disconnect, when I untied the wire that was being, you know, secured with twisty tie, I see that the quick disconnect is actually right here. So that's already going to be right here on the side of the bag because we're going to attach this to the side of the bag. And this part is the part that's going to plug into that part under the seat. So it doesn't matter. That thing doesn't have to be centrally located. I'm going to have plenty of wire left over to be able to reach under the seat and be able to get to plug this in. So all we're going to do here is use the same alcohol wipe that was provided. We're going to clean off like 3 different spots just to secure this wire on the side of the saddlebag. And now there's an indentation on the saddlebag in the middle. You want to kind of make sure that the wire is down in there. You know, you want to make it so that you're not snagging anything. And of course, have the wire under the part where the screws go. All right, that's common sense. Okay, so you can see I've attached 3. One here, one here, one here, and one here, one here, one here. Remember, this indentation in the saddlebag is because of your shocks. So again, you want to make sure that this is tucked nice and out of the way, no obstructions. And now all you have to do is take one of these zip ties, and it doesn't matter which way you do it. You can go this way, you can go this way. You put it right through. Tighten it down. Before you get it all the way down, just make sure you have the wire exactly how you want it. Then you can finish tightening it down. So it can stay like that. And then of course you clip that off. And you just do the same thing going all the way down. Do the same thing on the other side. Good to go. Okay, wires are all run, all secured. Put them back on the bike. Okay, so now it says to do a BCM check. I'm hoping that everything works out the first time. That's what we always hope. So it says secure the wires under the seat. We're going to do the wires. We're going to do all that securing and making it pretty once we're finished. Okay. But to perform a BCM sync, it says turn on the ignition and then turn on the 4-way hazards and then turn off the ignition and allow the 4-way hazards to run for 3 to 4 minutes. Then turn the ignition on, turn the 4-way hazards off, turn the ignition off. All right. This is supposed to sync it. So first, let's see if they work. Yes, they work. Okay, let me put on this hazard lights. Turn off the ignition. Wait for 3 to 4 minutes. All right, so it's been 4 minutes. It says turn the ignition on. Turn the 4-way hazards off. Turn the ignition off. And now let's just test to make sure everything's working properly. Let me come on this side of the motorcycle so I have access to the brakes. So we have the run lights, right turn signal, sequential. You gotta love the sequential. So you know what, guys? I already told you that because the light's amber, it's gonna get more attention. I like that. But the fact that it's sequential as well, that's just double the pleasure, okay? Double the safety, double the awareness. Left signal. Of course, I'm coming back to look at it too, guys, because I didn't look at it yet. Very good. Hazard lights. And you can see, because when you see before when they were blinking, the sequential wasn't it actually wasn't that separated. It almost looked like it was just solid. But now you can really see the sequentialness of the sequential. I'm making up words now. And what I really want to make sure is, are they strobing? No, they are not. Now, I think I read something about something that might have to happen to make sure they strobe. So let me look into that further. All right, guys, I was right. It's too good to be true. But the beauty is there are instructions. That's the good news. The bad news is the thing that we never want to do, well, some of us at least, we're going to have to do, and that's cut a wire. Okay? But this does give you instructions. Sequential saddlebag brake strobe modification. This modification will allow sequential saddlebags to strobe for the brake. So I could say, hey, you know what? I don't need it to strobe. But that's not going to happen. I want it to strobe. I want everything back there strobing. As many things that can possibly strobe, I want strobing. So, all right, let's get into it. Let's put these directions to the test and see what we got. All right, guys, so they give you a diagram here. Here's the turn signal decoder. That's this piece right here. And then here is the magic strobe. And that's right here. Okay, so it says the yellow jumper wire in the BCM adapter harness must be cut and capped. So this is the BCM wiring harness. Right, because the BCM wiring harness is connected to this turn signal. So, and the only yellow wire I see is right here. So it's saying this has to be cut and capped. And then it says the long single red wire will need to be connected to the brake output wire of the Magic Strobe RSG module. So here's the long red wire. All right, this is coming from the BCM adapter, and it's saying that this has to be connected to the brake output wire. So I'm sure, without me reading it, I don't know what the brake output wire is, but I'm sure it's going to tell us. So let's read on, or let's look on. All right, guys, so the instructions weren't clear enough for me to exactly understand, and I want to be 100% sure what I'm doing, especially when I'm cutting wires. So I went to YouTube and got my answers. So it's explaining the difference between the main wiring harness and the harness that goes to the rear brakes. So like I said before, that I wasn't exactly sure, but I was pretty sure. This is the main wiring harness, and this is the BCM one. This is the one going to the rear brakes. And the way you tell the difference is the main one has thick electrical tape around it, okay? Also, another thing I noticed is that the main one has a female connection, and the one going to your rear brakes has a male connector, okay? All right, so basically what it's saying is, and I marked them with blue tape so I know what I'm dealing with. So this is the yellow wire that the instructions are saying to cut, okay? And this is a wire that's coming from the adapter, okay? You know that this is the proper wire because it's connected to a red wire with, it looks like electrical tape. So it says to simply cut that wire. Make sure you're only cutting that wire. And then it says to cap it off, or, I'm going to use electrical tape. And you're no longer going to need that wire. The tape was fighting me. It didn't want to break. So cap that side off. It's an excessive amount of electrical tape for this little wire, but okay, then it says the female portion, okay? I forget if that's the input or the output, but the female portion, I'm going to say it's the input. I'm guessing because it's female, input, right? This portion, see this red wire right here? It says you're supposed to use this posi tap, and you're supposed to unscrew this. I'm guessing I'm unscrewing it. It looks like it unscrews them. Yeah, this is the right one. Okay, it unscrews on both sides, so I was unsure. And see that groove right there? It says you're supposed to put it around the red wire and then screw this back. And I already see the tip here, so it's going to pierce the jacket of this wire. And that's what's going to allow electricity to flow. Okay, so we got that in there. Gotta make sure I got enough clearance to be able to screw this thing back in. And that's supposed to be all you need to do to enable, well, it would help if I plug this back in, right? But that's supposed to be all you need to do to enable those slim profile bag lights to strobe. All right, let's test it out. All right, I want you guys to know that I don't test this out first off camera and then do it again on camera. So whatever you guys are going to see, whether this works or not, it's going to be the first time I see whether it works or not too. All right, let's do it. First, let's see if they still come on. Okay, they're on. Let's check the signals. We're going to go through everything. Signals work. Latch lights work. The right signal works at least. Left signal. Practice bike is coming along, guys. It's coming along. Hazards. Oh, it'll help if I press the button. Okay. Brake lights. You see any strobing? I don't see any strobing. Maybe yeah, I don't see any strobing. No, that's a solid light. All right, so now we got to look and see if something is not right or... Okay, guys, so these lights are still not strobing. I don't know why they're not strobing. Everything was done the way the instructions say it should be done and the video that I watched. So I'm going to move on. So the next thing I'm going to do is the fascia lights that go right here. And the first thing we have to do is remove the bags. Okay, so a lot of the steps with this are pretty much the same as they were with the bag lights. This is where the lights are going to go. Take the alcohol pads, wipe that part down, let it dry, fit the light the way you want it. Apparently there's supposed to be some kind of hooks or something that goes around here to make sure you have it where you want it. I believe so. And then run the wire. It comes with the necessary equipment to do that. Run the wire across the frame until you get to the back, or should I say under the back seat where all the wires are. And then we got to actually do this same thing all over again with, if I want those lights to strobe, I already cut that yellow wire, so I don't have to do that again. But I will have to use that that red posi tap device and splice into this wire again. And I'm interested to see if it works on this one, even though it didn't work on the other lights. And again, guys, like I said, smoked. So everything in the back will be smoked. Then you have your double-sided 3M tape on this side. And yes, there are some like plastic tabs right here. So my guess is that's going to help you as far as giving you a little guide as to where, clearly that's the wrong side. Giving you a little guide as to where to put these. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty easy. Now it says to get it says in the instructions to get, you know, one of those pencils to mark where you want it. And I don't know why that's necessary. If it has this tab in here, it's pretty much telling you where it's going to go, right? That's where it's going to go. What do you guys think about that? Right, the fact that the motorcycle is black and white, I think that'll look cool. I think what I'll do is I'll untie the wires now. So when I put that on, you know, I can kind of get the wires out of the way and already kind of have them going in the direction that I want them to be going. All right, guys, so I have the lights on. I'm going to use the other alcohol pad to wipe down the surfaces that I'm going to attach the wires to. And then, like I said, same process as before. Hook up the harness and let's see what we get. All right, guys, so I want to show you the final result of the bag lights, as well as the fascia lights and the turn signals and everything being connected to the magic strobe. And it turns out, guys, when I was having problems with some lights not strobing and some lights strobing, what the guy told me is that basically depends on where you have the lights hooked up to the magic strobe. And I believe I had these lights. I know I had these lights. I had them in front of the magic strobe when they have to be on the other side of the magic strobe. Okay? All right, let's take a look. Okay, let's do the turn signals first. And like I said, as you can see, these are sequential and the amber. And so is the bag light. I'm sorry. And so is the fascia light. That's also amber. So, you know, like I said, a little pop of color, a little color contrast. Grab the attention. It's a good thing. Do the left side. We'll do the hazards. And lastly, you guys ready for this? Now I got it kind of bright in here. You ready for this? Oh, it's just a lot of light. I don't know what it's doing to the camera, but man, it's a lot of light. And like I said, I also have that same strobing going on the sides of the motorcycle. So that's just awesome, right? Just awesome. There's no such thing as too much light. Okay, and now that we looked at it in here, we take it outside, just ride around the block quickly so you can see what it looks like. And I don't like to go out when it's totally dark because that never looks good. It blurs the lens. So we'll go out, take a look at it, see how we feel about it. I'll have the wife record me. All right, guys, so what did you think? Right? I mean, you know how I feel. I love it, man. Once again, Custom Dynamics knocked it out of the park with these lights, all right? So, like I said, latch lights, most involved. Let's put it like that, okay? Like I said, none of the lights are difficult, but it's the most difficult of the lights that I've installed so far, all right? But of course, I'm still going to recommend it because, you know, at the end of the day, once everything is said and done, well worth the effort to put them on. Well worth it, okay? Anything that you can do to add to your safety and at the same time make your motorcycle look cooler, to me, well worth it, all right? So clearly I'm going to recommend the latch lights, but I'm also going to recommend the bag lights because I think those look really cool, the low profile. And like I said, the amber, I do like that because, again, it adds to the safety. It gives you more attention to the eye. And you can also attach that to your magic strobe. And then lastly, those fascia lights that, yes, you can also attach those to your magic strobe. And those are also amber. So highly recommend all of them. All right. It's going to, at this point, you're probably going to be hard pressed to find me tell you there's a Custom Dynamics light that I don't recommend. But based on this video today and what we did on the motorcycle today, yes, highly recommend it. So I'm going to put a link in the description section to all three of these lights. And again, I can't say enough. I just can't say enough about the absolutely wonderful customer service at Custom Dynamics. Like I said, guys, things are not going to always go as planned. And knowing that I can have an issue and I don't have to worry that it's not going to be taken care of and taken care of professionally and personally, just outstanding. So again, Aaron, I want to thank you again. And I'm sorry, I forget the guy's name that I did the phone consultation with, but I want to thank him as well. And that's going to do it for this video. Again, I want to thank Custom Dynamics for providing me with the lights. I really appreciate it. And As I always tell you guys, spend more time being thankful for the things that you have and less time complaining about the things that you don't. I want to give a special shout out to the NYPD Highway Patrol Motorcycle Unit, particularly Highway 1 because that's where I used to work, and the Highway District because that's where the motorcycle school is. That's who taught me how to ride this motorcycle the way I ride it. But remember guys, it's a perishable skill. You have to keep practicing, all right? So preload, keep it loaded, and practice, 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 practice. Until next time, guys.